get funky.
ALIEN8UK.
I'ma get crazy. I'ma get loose. I'ma get hazy, hazy, hazy. I'ma take a ride. 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 Take me to your leader, take me to your leader, take me to your leader. 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 Yeah, yeah. Take me to your leader. Take me to your leader.
Signal acquisition initiated. Cross-referencing Anomaly Archives. Pattern recognition complete. Aether 8 online.
Hello, hello. Welcome to this extra edition of UFO Files and ALIEN8UK with a wonderful friend of mine, one and only Jay Austin. Welcome and thank you for coming on.
Good evening, Andy. How are we?
Oh, busy.
Busy? You're always busy, mate. You don't stop.
I might sleep.
King. Nah, it's all good, mate.
It's all good. It is. It's exciting, is what it is.
Yeah, what a time to be alive, eh?
Wow, especially doing this, and
Yeah.
just there's so much going on right now. Not just in the world of UFOs, but just the paranormal and everything else. So
go to sleep and wake up on the wrong side of history, my friend.
yeah, but we're still here, and we're still kicking, and we're still talking about it. So
yeah,
it ain't a bad thing. Yeah,
the Men in Black haven't come for you yet, man.
No, well, if they have, they've knocked on the door. They ain't rang the doorbell. So
easy to find you with all that memorabilia sat behind you. Wow.
Oh, but you know what? If you come into my house, right?
Yeah.
Come in the front door, you walk through the house, like hallway, kitchen, living room, dining room, nothing, absolutely nothing whatsoever, right? And it's not until you come upstairs into this room and it hits you.
I know what you're saying, and I'll tell you the reason. You've got a missus and a wife.
Yeah. And the kids.
That's it. You can find one space, the man cave. You got your man cave, I've got the rest of the house. That's how it works, isn't it?
That's what I say.
This is why I need to add, this is the main reason why I'm single.
Because you've got the whole of your place.
Oh, yeah, mate.
Yeah.
It's the bachelor pad. The whole place is a man cave. But yeah, aside from the UFO books that, I'm blessed to have so many now in my collection, I don't really have much alien or extraterrestrial memorabilia lying about. Maybe I
No.
should start to get some.
Do you know what? It's worth it. I'll just tilt the camera a bit. So I've got all these, all
Wow.
that stuff there, and then I've got all this here that goes right the way up to the ceiling, on the ceiling.
Yikes. I hope them shelves are secure, mate, because like they come
There,
down a lot
yeah.
of stuff on there.
Oh no, it's not heavy stuff that's on there.
Yeah.
And then I'll see if you can see. So that's what's in front of me. So
Wow.
I've got all that as well. And yeah,
Props for the cheers sign, man. I love it.
Oh, I bought that when I went to Boston. First time I went to the US.
Yeah, it's pretty cool,
So,
man.
yeah, I just got a few little bits and pieces.
A few.
It's worth it.
Yeah,
A few.
just one and two, yeah?
I've had to get rid of loads. And
Really?
it's like,
Oh, man.
what? Can you imagine trying to work out what to get rid of?
It'd have to be like an eeny, meeny, miny, mo type situation.
No, I do the stuff at the very beginning when I didn't really know what I was doing and didn't know what to collect. You know, when you're just trying to build it up and you're like, which way do we go? So I was steady more down the ghosts and spirits.
Yeah.
But all the time, it's just UFO stuff, aliens. I've even got the original Timothy Good Beyond Top Secret.
Do you know what? It's actually one of the first book.
1992 about that.
Yeah. I was going to say that's one of the very first books that I read. Need to Know, which is another of Timothy Good's books. Brilliant book. For
Alien Liaison. Alien Liaison is the other one.
He was immense, man. Like, obviously, the level of detail in his books on the reports that he collated. You know, obviously, Timothy, you know, he doesn't do many appearances now because he's getting on and senior in his years. But, you know, when you look at the work of, like, you know, likes of him, John Hanson, Margaret Fry, who's no longer with us.
Yeah.
And obviously John Hanson, when Margaret Fry deceased, sadly left this earth. I think it was Paul that was telling me John Hanson has the majority of her files now.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have an ongoing, he's regular on the show on a Monday, John Hanson.
Yeah,
so
he's a great guy. Him and his wife, lovely people.
Is it Sheila? Shirley?
Yeah. Shirley rings a bell. I'm probably going to get this wrong and like roasted about this.
It's either Shirley or Sheila. I think it's Shirley. I should know. He's told me a million times, but oh well. I don't even know my name.
Yeah, mate. It's a daily occurrence. And a funny story about how we first met. So we were just talking off air.
Yeah.
And I think it was at Bolton Albert Halls a fair few years ago now at a conference called Awakening. And you've been trying to get me on for a number of years. And for one reason or another, the stars haven't. 3 years. It's true. And the stars didn't align for one reason or another. And you came up to me, and because you're doing this so regularly, you know, on a regular basis, you came up to me and introduced yourself, but you didn't give me your name. And you went, "Oh, it was great to have you on the podcast. It was brilliant, wasn't it? We got into the weeds." And I'm like, yeah, it was fantastic, mate. And then you walked away, and I looked at my mate and I went, "Who the fucking hell's that?" Yeah,
because you was with 14. I'm not going to give his real name.
Yeah.
Because he introduced himself, because he told me his name, and then he goes, I watch, I listen, come in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need your YouTube name. And when he told me his YouTube name, I'm like, that's you.
The problem is, isn't it, is, you know, when we were alluding to this off air, but, you know, when you see a tiny little profile picture of someone, it's far different than how, you know, and all those Snapchat filters that you use and whatnot with the eyelashes. I mean, mate, I need somebody else. Have you seen this? I look like I've been run over by a cement.
You know what? I always say, don't use filters. This is what I look like in the morning. this is what I look like all day, and a more knackered version by the time I'm going to bed. Well, it doesn't change. It just gets
you're
more
still
raggedy.
handsome, mate. You're still handsome.
I won't go that far.
Well, there's not much you can do with this, mate. So you good.
Yeah, I'll keep this as long as I can.
Yeah.
Anyway,
obviously, you know, topic at hand. What do you make of everything that's going on? It's been quite a few weeks, hasn't it?
Well, I think because we was talking off air, and we spoke about what we can and can't discuss due to algorithms and all that. There are a lot of distractions of certain files and certain cases going on right now. Whether it is a distraction, I don't know. Is the timing impeccable? Could be. Could it be planned, or is it just how things are going to be for 2026?
I don't know, because when obviously you came to festival, the Unexplained, one of the events that I spoke at last year, which would have been September, wasn't it? And I was told, I was told the October before by someone that I cannot name, that is very high in terms of the security clearances he has. And he said, well, 2026, 27 there's going to be a big rollout of this. And this has been ongoing since 2017 with the New York Times article, you know, about alluding to ATIP and Luel Elizondo. And there was a bit more meat on the bones and stuff that I was told I couldn't repeat. But the bits that I could repeat was that this year was going to be the year. And then you had Jeremy Corbell coming out on, was it UFO Revolution, the thing on Tubi, where he sort of alluded to that they were going to drop this bombshell, that there was an alien craft making its way to Earth, and that was going to be a lie and deception.
Yeah.
And then you've got Stephen Greer and the Project Bluebeam stuff. And, you know, like for anyone who sort of, you know, like I'm not a major fan of Greer. I think the guy's got an ego, but I do think he has relevant information. And if you look at some of the holographic images, like I'll give you an example, the Atlantean Hotel in Abu Dhabi, that literally has this massive whale jumping out of the pool of water in front of the hotel. And it looks as real as me and you right now. So they could pull this off, or, you know, many people have said, you know, this could accumulate in, you know, this one world government, the new world order that a few people speak of. It's possible they could pull that card, you know, especially after all the shenanigans they've pulled, you know, the last couple of years, which, you know.
Yeah, because I just think some person called me McMoons in the chat. And they're on a few of the other podcasts that I try and get to listen to, usually on a Thursday.
Okay.
And but the moon thing, so we, like I've done it personally, have sent people to the moon. Was it last week, week before?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Was that going to the moon?
Yeah.
Why are we not hearing anything about that?
No.
That's just been, oh yeah, we sent them to the moon. Let's forget about them.
It's all swept under the carpet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and look what's dominating the news at the moment. You know, like if I put,
I get that.
I'll put an article up on my webpage, and I'll mention this sitting president. We won't mention his name for reasons. But if I put anything like that, dude, the amount of those files, the other files, that are in the comments is like, dude, I'm getting spammed with that stuff at the moment. And I'm like, you do realize that this subject precedes this sitting president. You know, we alluded to it off air with Reagan, Eisenhower.
All the ex-presidents.
George Bush Sr. being the head of the CIA, Bill Clinton, who tried to delve into this stuff, you know, and it's all the need to know. And if they don't have the need to know, be it they're a temporary employee of the government.
Well, that's technically all. That's what they are. But it's like I always refer to this as that classic line from the original Independence Day: official denial. If you
Yeah.
don't know, you can't comment. It's official.
Yeah.
If you do know, then you're lying. And
Yeah, it's Grant Cameron alludes to this, where it's called plausible deniability. And,
yeah,
you know,
I can't remember.
even if you go back to the 2017 stuff, and obviously, you know, you had the FLIR one video, the Tic Tac, you had Gimbal, and you had Go Fast. They're easily, you know, whilst it's great that we're getting this footage and it's from US Navy sensors and, you know, these Super Hornets that are flying about, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's not 100% you can say that is undeniably a UFO or a UAP, as they're now called.
But the thing is, as well, because as you know, I use AI a lot, and
yeah,
everyone knows. And I'm getting to the point where I think I'm mastering it to my ability and what I need it for and what I'm doing. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's AI, it's AI." I'm telling you, a lot of it is not AI, unless you are going to spend. And I'm not even exaggerating on this. You know, I use Grok, so I thought it's only right that I opened Twitter X account, and so everything's constantly on X, and I trust that more than I will Instagram, more than Facebook, and all the other social media, because it's there. And it's like it's uncensored.
It's real time, isn't it? It's bipartisan.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's important.
And the thing with it is, yeah, you can do a lot with AI, but some of the stuff, even to make it grainy, old film, or you've got to add, so you do the AI, then you've got to add filters, then you've got to add effects, and every time you add something different to it, it lessens the quality of
you're going to lose the integrity. Which makes sense. And you think, you know, like, look at it this way, unless you know, some snot-nosed 15-year-old that, you know, sits in his mum's basement jacking off to Pornhub and has way too much time on his hands. Bad analogy, I know. But by the same time, it seems like so much effort to create, you know, what, a 20-second video?
I pay X amount and I can create a 10-second video, and then I can make a few of them, string them together. You've got to do, so where one ends, you pause it, you screenshot, then you do another video from there. So you're making you are basically making a stop-start video.
Yeah.
Unless you want to pay at least £300 or $300 a month, you are not going to get that quality. Not being funny, but who's going to pay £300 a month just to create a 2-minute video to make it look real?
Look at the logic there and what you've just explained. It's like just to deceive, you know, UFO Twitter, or X as it's now called.
Yeah.
You know, it just seems so, I don't know, like personally, I wouldn't go to those lengths just to pull a hoax.
No.
But, you know, look at the alien abduction stuff. You know, if you believe that Spiros Malaris created that, you know, and that was way before there was AI on the scene.
Yeah. I know they say CGI, but you've got to be Hollywood savvy to do that. You can create stuff and it looks real. But if you have a proper look, you can see the little flaws in it where it isn't, and you can tell it isn't. A lot of these people are saying AI. And the easiest way to tell if something's AI is when they have audio on it. So when a voice is created, they use the same voice, same tone, same gaps between each word, where it goes high pitched and low. Straight, if you play me, I can say to you straight away, that's AI, or that's not AI.
Yeah.
Within the first 3 words.
But then, you know, let's flip this on its head. You can also use AI to distinguish between a real video and something that is complete bullshit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. And, you know, like probably, I don't know about yourself, but I used to get sent between 50 to 100 videos a week. And how, some of the tricks in which people try and fool you is, I'll give you an example. There was a girl sent me this video of this orb, circular looking thing zipping around the neighborhood. And only when you zoom in on the video, you can see her reflection in the window, and she's controlling this thing from a phone. So I jump on TikTok or eBay and I put in UFO drone, and lo and behold, mate, within seconds, this thing comes up and you control it from an app on your iOS device or your Android device. And you kind of feel like messaging back saying, why would you try and waste my time with this? One, you're making yourself look silly. You're wasting my time when, the next person that comes along that might be credible. And I'm kind of like, really?
Yeah. No, I get that. And it's like jumping onto like the Bigfoot stuff where there's filming and it's like there's a Bigfoot in the snow or the forest or in a ravine.
Yeah.
And they go, it's AI, it's AI. Do you know how difficult it is to actually recreate that and make it look realistic?
Yeah.
It's virtually impossible. It's more likely a bloke in a suit or a woman in a suit.
Yeah, ghillie suit.
Yeah. It's more chance of it being that than it being AI.
Yeah. It's a totally, man. So, it's like we were saying, there's so much coming out thick and fast that it's so hard to discern between. But even the videos that Jeremy Corbell's released, the leaked videos over secure facilities, aside from the jellyfish UFO footage that he released, all the other stuff is kind of like it could be, but it also might be something that has a plausible explanation.
Yeah.
And I think that's done deliberately.
So
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you said, them videos are real, they're legit, but as to what is in that video may not be what they're claiming it to be.
Exactly. And, I get clicks mean something on the internet these days. And, a lot of these accounts sort of, look to farm traffic and it all seems to be about numbers. I get it. But I suppose I'm still waiting for that smoking gun to come out.
Yes.
If you listen to any of Lou's interviews, Lou Elizondo, he talks about this 4K footage that exists and it's undeniable and it's from a defense satellite and there's a huge disk sat over Earth's orbit. And the reasons that's, classified is because, the defense satellite which it's recorded from. And the excuse is made, well, with hostilities with China and Russia, do you necessarily want to give away your trade secrets to your adversaries?
Yeah, exactly.
But
you can, and this is the ironic thing. You can put a screenshot or a photograph of something into AI, and it will tell you if it's legit or AI.
Yeah, totally. It's bonkers stuff. So, whilst I appreciate it can be used for a lot of fuckery, at the same time, it can be used to discern between something that is, let's say created on another AI app, CapCut or ChatGPT or any one of those. And you see it on I head over onto UFO Twitter or X as it's now called. And you see people in the comments, Grok, is this real? And you're thinking it's kind of lazy in a way that you won't go out and do your own due diligence, that you have to ask Grok to discern between that. But at the same time, what a great time to be alive because, in what me and you do, if you got the time to sift through 100 videos a week,
not even one.
I ain't. No,
not a chance. No.
And I'm not an expert at AI or CGI or any of those things.
I'm still learning. I'm getting there, but I know how to create. I know how to make the things that I need for this channel.
Yeah.
And that's it. Because if you watch my intro or outro, any of the other videos I've put up, you can clearly see they're animated images.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your stuff's brilliant though, man. Like I was popping my head along to your little intro and your dancey tune, and I was like, I've got to find it on Spotify or iTunes or something. But yes, like, but just to segue back to what I said originally, and like, you know, I was given this information a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, at the time, you kind of take these things with, I'd say usually a pinch of salt, but from this person that I cannot name, and that isn't
Nope.
that, you know, I know something you don't, because I don't, you know, no more than you or any man on the street. But
Yeah.
you know, the reason I can't use his name is because he's still involved at the highest level. And everyone in the UFO community would know who this guy is without a shadow of a doubt. So when I was relayed this information, it was like, you know, the stuff that obviously then came out about 3i Atlas, this interstellar object, which is still a lot going on about that in the background.
There's two more though, isn't there? Have you seen them? The rotating gherkins with LEDs on them. Talking about
have you seen now that the jets it was shooting are coming down towards Earth?
No,
because I think it's this month. Yeah. I'll send you the video when we get off air. But what they're saying is I think it goes beyond Jupiter this month. But when obviously it was shooting jets away from it before, which was pushing it away from our orbit, when it's come back, this thing is now shooting jets towards Earth. And I find that interesting. Like, why would it be doing that?
Yeah.
And
well, this is a weird thing, right? So with the 3i Atlas, I put a post up on Facebook. I don't know if you remember seeing it. Some guy was doing a remote view on it, and it said there was 5 million reptilian draconies. Is it draconi?
Draconians, yeah.
Draconians on there.
Yeah.
Well, how the fuck did he count 5 million?
Oh,
you get to 4.5 million. Now. I know.
You know.
But then it was the same guy that said there's 2 more that are coming that are doing all this weird stuff, and they're heading to Leo. And that seems, you just got to watch it. That just seemed more plausible than what he said last time, because he mentioned the Draconians again. He didn't say there's 5 million. He didn't give a thingy of how many there were. But it's like, maybe he is not chatting shit, and that first one was some sort of drone to check out what's going on, and these other two,
that's what we use.
Like scouting.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of these orbs and UFO things are, the scouting vehicles to see what's happening.
I think so. I seen, the sitting president's chief of staff, Anna Paulina Luna, posted something recently that she thinks these are, and there's a lot of scope with this government stuff that's coming out, that they think a lot of this is linked to what we would describe as angels and demons.
Yes.
And there seems to be a lot of chatter about that now.
Well, that's what Barry Fitzgerald was talking about last.
Yeah, it's one. This phenomenon is one thing that presents itself in many masks, and maybe it's sort of gives it the archetype. And like, I'm kind of going along with that. And like, I remember a chat with Barry years ago where he brought up the skull experiment.
Yes.
And for any of you viewers that haven't sort of gone down that rabbit hole, have a look at it. So it was a group of psychic mediums that would sit in circle and do a seance, which spiritual practice, right?
Yep.
On one of their seances, they actually had grey beings come through. Now, what are grey beings, or like the stereotypical little grey aliens, these humanoid figures doing coming through on something that's a spiritual practice? It doesn't make sense, to me. You know, so it does make you think, and you know, look at the stuff that Paul Sinclair's getting up in Yorkshire, you know, and the phenomenon that presents itself up there, and look at places like Skinwalker Ranch, where you've got multifaceted phenomenon that display itself in these, you know, array of
every way, shape,
entities.
form.
Yeah.
But don't you think, though, the paranormal is the only subject that is constantly contradicting itself regardless, but at the same time, even though we don't really know what it's going on, to us and like everyone in the chat and people that are interested in this sort of stuff, it still makes sense. You couldn't have that in anything else.
It does. You know, I was chatting to a good friend about this the other day, and I said, you know, literally, the more I learn, the less I know, or the more questions I have. You know, like when I got into this, mate, 14, 15 years ago on a public level, at least, you know, to me, it was little grey beings from Zeta Reticuli. Do I hold that same idea now? Possibly not. I think alien life, as in coming from up there, is one explanation for this. I also think maybe, you know, if you're talking about the USO stuff, which I know we've got a mutual friend in the chat who's going to be watching this, you know, like I'll give you a crazy statistic. We know more about the space and the moon than what we do the world's oceans. So what if there was a civilization that predated humans being on this planet? Be a great place to hide, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah.
You know, look at places like the Mariana Trench. Look, you know, we don't have physically.
We don't even know. Yeah, we've not even got halfway down.
And look at some of the species of fish and octopus that we're finding. You know, would you know, if they weren't already named, you would say they look like aliens.
Exactly. But it's like, so with the octopus, it can change shape, colour, form, everything, the intelligence of it. What's not to say that some asteroid came down, went into the ocean.
Yeah.
And then through time, it, I'm not going to use the word evolved because I'm not into that. That's not my thing. It adapted into what it is now from what it was if it wasn't already like that in the first place.
It's a possibility. And, you know, like I think it was Lou when he was on Rogan that spoke about, you know, there was an admiral of a submarine. And he explains about this craft, and he says, you know, the size of an offshore oil rig. And he says, literally, this thing bypasses at rapid speed this submarine. And it was bigger than the offshore oil rig.
Wow.
You know, and also he tells the story about a frogman going to retrieve, I think it was a missile off a, you know, some sort of military test. Yeah. And as the frogman's descending to get this missile from the ocean, this huge black disc surfaces, swallows the missile, and then just descends never to be seen. And he said the frogman's absolutely shitting himself. You know, like, get me up into that helicopter.
Yeah.
As he's dangling from a while. And, you know, you forget, you know, I know it's kind of like happenstance in the sense that, you know, we don't have any evidence to back these claims up. But, you know, you're talking to a guy that, you know, whether you believe he headed up ATIP and he was involved in all these clandestine projects, you know, you've got to pay attention to this stuff. And obviously I was just going to say, you know, the reason why UAP, the acronym, was changed from aerial phenomenon to even, get my tongue again, to anomalous phenomena. Because how can you call something aerial phenomenon when it's moving, you know, at a rate of speed underwater? You can't.
Exactly. I know. Well, this is the thing, and I do keep going on about it. And I think since last year, and I spoke to a few different people from the US and the UK.
Yeah.
Mermaids. People laugh because they're not like beautiful women with shell bras, and do you know what I mean? Why are they not the alien species that are using these USOs and not underwater bases, but in water bases?
Yeah.
That'd be the ideal place. This is why you don't see them, because they only
Well,
come out as and when they need to.
yeah, look at places like Catalina Island, you know, off I think it's off the coast of San Diego, isn't it? Santa Monica way, if I'm mistaken.
Not
Carmela will probably
sure.
pick me up on that. But like I know she's done extensive research around that place, and so was what's his name now? We're for Facebook friends, but I can't think of his name to hand. But he's wrote several books on this Catalina Island, and there's so
Yeah.
many weird anomalies, mate. Let alone things that are seen, you know, transmedium things that move between sea and air, you know,
Yeah.
with no inertia when they drop into the water. You know, like you drop a rock from a helicopter into the ocean, it's going to make one hell of a splash.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you thinking like something that's disc shaped, especially as it's flat, saucer shape, we assume. You would have think that would make a hell of a splash going into the water. There's nothing. So
No. But then, are we not seeing what it actually is? I was talking about this yesterday as well with UFO Joe. He had this diagram, and just by looking at what he'd created from what he'd seen, I just felt like it was some sort of bioorganic machine of some sort. But it's like, how do we know that these craft? Because how often you don't see some little grey or green alien piloting these things. Now and again, you might see something. How do you know they're not organic? So when they hit the water, like an octopus, they change form, they change shape. So when they hit the water, at that point, that's the point of transfiguration.
Yeah, I'm totally for that. And like, you know, obviously when I lived in North Wales, just across the border from where I am now, I used to see a lot of these orbs of an evening to a point where it was almost a nightly occurrence. And there'd be people with me, I'd be on my own. And I remember having a conversation. This is probably 7 or 8 years ago. And I said, what if these things are intelligent in their own mind? Now, I'll give you an example of this. You know, on Skinwalker Ranch, they would see these orbs that had this blue bubbling substance within them that put the fear of God into these people, made them drop to their knees. You know, and these you know, you think the guy, you know, Terry Sherman, who was the ranch owner at the time, and you think, you know, like these, you know, these aren't people that kind of scare easily, and they're probably by this point used to some of the phenomenon they'll be seeing on the ranch, you know. And then his dogs run off and chase these orbs, and he hears a squeal, and he doesn't find the dog, but he finds the greasy puddles where wherever it is seems to have vaporized these dogs. You know, Paul spoke, you know, on one of Paul Sinclair's documentaries, Bringing Down the Light. There's a lady who's driving back over Yorkshire way as the crow flies towards Bridlington and Benton. And she sees these dancing orbs and a herd of deer underneath them. And now I've wild camped in that area. You can't get within 50 foot of one of those deer because they're that skittish. And she said they were in the road, in the middle of the road, and they were transfixed by these orbs, and there was a calmness over them. They were still. And she careered off the road, went into a farmer's field, ended up in the tractor tracks, and got a car stuck. So, you know, like, back to my thesis that these things are intelligent in their own right, I think there's enough meat on the bone, shall we say, to, you know, demonstrate that that is a thing. You know, whether it's an entirely different manifestation than the nuts and bolts and the engineered craft that we're seeing, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answers to that.
I think it's a bit of both. But like, I don't know. I'm just guessing as much as the next person. Because
Yeah,
the ones I've seen solid orbs, I've seen solid spheres, I've seen plasma, like plasma looking UFO dropping plasma teardrops one
yeah,
after the other. I've seen what looks like a rock just thrown up and just stationary in the sky.
yeah,
All sorts of stuff. Or lights. I've seen a metal orb shoot across the sky opens up, it goes through the sky and then closes behind it. I was coming back from Bolton. This is back in 1997.
yeah.
I used to work in Bolton. I'm coming down St. Peter's Way, coming into Worsley.
Oh, you're not up by Winter Hill, are you, in that area?
No, I'm the other way.
Right.
So I'm driving in towards town, into Manchester. So
Yeah.
I'm coming down the St. Peter's Way, through Bolton, Farnworth, and coming around onto these Lancs where Worsley, Swinton, and all that is. And you're on the spur, and as I hit the spur, seeing how to pull up on the hard shoulder, like that close to throwing up everywhere. Joe, you get that horrible gut sick feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
It was that. But just the sky just opened up, it went through, closed, like nothing had happened.
Well, that's going into obviously like wormholes and portals, which I I've believed in for the longest time. In fact, I would say, there's possibly areas of interest where you get these manifestations of, let's call it, phenomenon. North Yorkshire is one of those places. Skinwalker Ranch is another, and there are other sites around the world. And like, when I used to live over North Wales, the amount of these megalithic sites where the stone circles, and people claim that there's great energy there, and people get healed of ailments and disease and whatnot. But they're also UFO hotspots. Now, I know a fellow researcher called Gary Rowe, and when the Sufon guys were over, Mike Maunder and Emlyn, we popped to see this Gary Rowe, who lives in a place called Rill. And he claimed that he'd spoken to Edgar Mitchell when he was alive, obviously famous Apollo 14 astronaut.
Yeah.
And he said, so copper deposits they could see from space. And he said, whether you believe that Edgar Mitchell went to space is a different story. But he said these copper deposits on Earth almost shone like a beacon. So could it be possible that while there are elements, gold is another one, especially in Wales, which is rich with rose gold. Could that be something or potential energy source that these craft are
this is another thing we were saying. It's like saying about there's something to do with the water, and for some reason I'm convinced it's to do with the salt in the water. Obviously, you've got all these minerals as well.
Yeah.
That are in the rocks, that are in the sand, in freshwater, seawater, rivers, lakes. You know what I mean? You've got all different types, caverns, wells.
It's so vast, dude, and there's so many rabbit holes that you can splinter off. The main UFO discourse that, like I said to you, the more I learn, the less I know, and it just leaves me with more questions than it does answers. And I think we're getting closer to maybe some of those questions being answered. Again, there's an awful lot of chatter at the moment based off this Mark Christopher Lee that said the sitting president of the US was going to come forth and have this disclosure speech planned. And obviously, an ex-president, I don't know if we can name him.
No,
but,
he's not.
The
other guy.
Yeah, the other guy who came forth and, was asked on a recent podcast if aliens were real. And he said, aliens are real. I've not seen them. He said, then alluded to the underground facilities at Area 51.
Denied all.
Yeah, which Bob Lazar and other people have spoke about, John Lear, to name a few. And you're kind of thinking, well, you need to understand there's I think there's 20 or so security clearances above the presidential's security.
Of course there is.
And we're going back to this need to know, plausible deniability. So would he be privy to that information? Possibly not. And then, the current sitting president is asked, as he's boarding Air Force One. I didn't drop his name, did I?
No.
Oh,
I've got a bit of a theory.
So the current sitting president was asked about Obama's comments, and the devil's in the detail here, because he said he shouldn't have disclosed that. That is classified information. Now, if there's nothing there, and the sitting president apparently doesn't have an opinion on this, although I know for a fact he's been briefed. I know people who've been in the same building when he's been briefed. So that's happened for sure. Yeah. And he's up to date on this stuff, aside from the videos that have been put out to the general public. Now, again, if there's nothing there to hide, why would there be a need for classification? Exactly. And then he goes on to say, I may need to, and you know what this person's like. He likes to laugh and the joke and likes to screw with the media. Oh, yeah. So you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. But for him to come out and say, I may have to disclose this thing to get the former president out of trouble, I thought was quite telling. And then your former president, that guy.
Well, but this is the thing, and like you saying, there's so many levels above the acting president. Yeah. They can do 2 terms, 4 years, so they can do a term 8 years. Why would they get told everything there is to know about what's going on? They wouldn't. No, and that's the reason why. Because once they've had say they've done 2 terms and it's year 8 and that's it, it's done. You can't undo what you've told them. They've got all that knowledge, so you wouldn't tell them in the first place. There's
they may be privy, some private conversations or, certain people that they rub shoulders with. But by the same token, like the level of this, I think, literally precedes any sitting president. And as we alluded to earlier, this goes back to JFK, President Dwight Eisenhower. There's so many presidents that have wanted this question asked. More recently, Bill Clinton.
From the 50s, from the 50s onwards.
Yeah, pretty much since Roswell, which was Roswell, 47?
47, yeah.
So, people need to understand the compartmentalization of this. And now we're told that, it's not just government. If you believe what David Grush is saying, which, that guy testified under oath and was head of the UAP task force. And he comes forward and he says, okay, so you've got the likes of Boeing, you've got Lockheed Martin, you've got Raytheon, you've got some of these aerospace companies that are all exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. And this stuff is farmed out to them. Exactly. But the level of secrecy, I'm conscious of how much time you've got left, but the level of secrecy with that is, the way it was explained to me is, say this back-engineered craft, or we recover something that's then farmed out to, let's say, Company A. We'll use two examples. So Company A gets this UFO tech and goes on to declassify this. It comes out in the public domain and it's used for the purposes of war, which, let's face it, we've got some crazy human beings doing some crazy things at the moment. Let's say Company A goes on to make $1 trillion on the stock market based on that technology. Whereas Company B, that doesn't get the level of back-engineered craft or this UFO tech study, they go bankrupt. So Company B is going to end up suing the government.
Yeah.
And, when you think, when that was explained to me in that level, and I'm just giving you an analogy based on that, is the level of secrecy that surrounds this stuff is absolutely off the charts, that people have no idea, the reasons for the level of secrecy. It's not all evil government, and we
No.
don't need to know when, humanity isn't ready to know this. So I think the stuff that's going on recently, maybe the timing of it is odd, when it coincides with all this other stuff, all these other files that are coming to.
Or could it be that all this stuff is going on now to create this alien invasion?
It could well be, yeah. And you only need to look what's going on in the world, on a political and economical level to see how that could be plausible. They've pulled the ISIS card. They pulled Al Qaeda before that. Isn't it funny you don't hear those names mentioned on the news anymore?
No, it's all just.
There's no.
Vanished.
Yeah,
I know.
9/11, whether you believe in that, they've, whether you believe that's a false flag, but obviously there's a lot of evidence to support that. And it's like, yeah, they could most definitely pull this off.
Yeah.
Well,
so what's your thought then? So all this tech, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've asked this to a few different guests that have been on, and I thought about it. At first, when I thought it is probably the most ridiculous question that I've ever asked. But the more I think about it, the more it could kind of make sense.
Okay.
What if it's us that has the tech? And this is the reason why we're getting visited by all these different species, or the ones that are already here, because we're creating the tech that they want. So they're coming to us for it. And this is why there's so much traffic that isn't ours.
It's possible, but I'll give you an example. And, again, we can go back to the Dwight Eisenhower, I think it was Holman Air Force Base, where he allegedly met with extraterrestrials. And this pact was made in exchange for so many thousands of humans that get abducted. And we get technology. And if you look at the last 20 years, and let's use an example, televisions. 20 years ago, do you remember how heavy a television set was?
Yeah.
And the size of the back on it?
Yeah.
And you look at them now, they're as thin as a piece of paper that you can literally roll out on your wall.
Well, look at a mobile phone. I remember remember the Motto phones?
Yeah.
I had one of them. I remember my sister-in-law, she rang up, she was going out the weekend, like a few of us, and she started talking, she goes, oh, they're making a mobile phone. This is we're only talking like 2004, 2005, right?
Yeah.
And there's a phone coming out, it's got to have a camera on it, music, and a computer, and you can search the internet, and I'm like, you've been smoking something you shouldn't, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, and within 5-6 years, it's there. And look at them now. Look at how advanced.
It's clever, isn't it? Because I was listening to another podcast a few years ago, and they said if you'd have taken an iPhone some parts of America as close as 50 to 60 years ago, you'd have been tried for witchcraft. Yeah. Because you had this magic device in your hand. And, the way technology is marketed, we just accept it on face value. We don't look at the science behind that. Now, know where you're based now, and I'm based, a couple of 100 miles away, that I can send you a video and your device, it'd be downloaded on that within seconds. Yeah. But yet you don't see that video and all the information, all those little millions of pixels.
I know that messes with my head. I can't even think about
crazy,
that,
isn't it?
Well, did a video chat with Carmela and some others on Sunday night, and there's about 9 of us in there, and there's some from the US, the UK, and I'm using my phone. There's no delay in anything as to what everyone was talking about, and it's like, how it messes with me head. I cannot get my head around it.
Yeah, I'll give you another instance, and weirdly, our friend UFO Joe's just put this in your chat: fiber optics. So we, obviously we got the speed of sound because we fighter jets that literally have sonic booms, right?
Yes.
Fiber optics, that's the speed of light. No one questions how we get this technology, and it comes into the public domain. So when you look at some of this stuff and you look how far, and I'd say in some ways we've advanced technologically, but not spiritually. I'd say we've de-evolved possibly spiritually, because ancient
don't you think
civilization.
Yeah, but don't you think now though that we've now got the technology that it's kind of becoming more of a spiritual thing because we can access more stuff than we could ever dream of even seeing in real life.
Look at this thing, Elon Musk's had in development for the last decade, and the Neuralink stuff. A chip that you can literally have implanted in your brain that makes up for that dead part of the brain for people that suffer brain damage through injury. And they've trialed this stuff. I think they trialed it on chimpanzees to begin with. And it's more recently, as in the last few years, been used on humans to great success. So it's like we're moving in a way, is what I'm trying to say. That's there's a lot of
if you got offered this chip, would you take it?
If I had a redundant part of my brain that was damaged,
well, all right then, let me change it a little bit. So if they offered you this chip and it made you more, I'm going to use the word intelligent, but that's not the word I'm looking for.
Thank you, mate.
I mean, no, this is where you go. Fuck off, Andy. But I mean, gives you more abilities using parts of your brain that you can home in on, where you've got a lot of the subconscious stuff going on, where you can go to certain parts of your brain and go, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to do that. Become more superhuman. But with that, they're taking data. Like when you agreed to, you go on something, you agreed to, they take data to find out how it's working. To see what's working well, what's not working, so on and so on. Would you go, you know what? Why not? What have I got to lose? Or would you be like, nah, fuck that. This is too much.
I don't know. Isn't that kind of like, the whole
giving control away?
Rise? Yeah, isn't that the kind of like the whole Terminator Rise of the Machines kind of theory? And Matrix Revolutions where AI is good man.
I don't mean where they can then use that chip. Sorry, watch is going off. Not where they can use it to take over. You're not a sleeper soldier or anything like that. It's purely to see if you can use parts of your mind, body, and consciousness that you've not been able to access prior to having this chip fitted.
Yeah, some would argue you can already do that, when we can go into obviously the use of ayahuasca and DMT, when some of the effects, people have had these unbelievable experiences on that. Myself included, that went to Peru and did an ayahuasca retreat. And it changed my life. It completely humbled me. And I'd like to think I came back a totally different human being, but
I know 3 people that have been, yourself and there's 2 other people, and they've said exactly the same as you. 2 weeks, and you go through this shit as well, and then you come out the other end, and it just changes who you are, your perspective of everything, and how you.
It does, mate, and I'm not condoning the use of psychedelics or drug use. Please don't think that.
This is totally different.
Indigenous tribes have been using this for like thousands of years as a way to connect to the spirit realm.
Yeah.
So if there's something that maybe everyone could access by way of this chip, hypothetically, then is that a way of having that interface that, you can see almost, into the matrix, shall we call it that?
Yeah.
And that's been prophesized for a long time, dude. That, like, you can go back to the MK Ultra stuff, where they, fed the soldiers LSD and did sleep deprivation tests and so on and so on.
Just madness.
And that's stuff, and that's declassified papers.
So say about MK Ultra, the same people that did the Philadelphia experiment, this Nichols guy, did MK Ultra, did Montauk, and went on to something else, and I can never fucking remember the name of it. And it was the same guy who was director of overseeing everything that was going on.
Yeah, well, look at go back to World War II, and like this is out there for anyone who's watched the film Oppenheimer. And I'll give you a name, Werner von Braun. And that was a guy who was a Nazi chief scientist that NASA hired and gave him immunity and a brand new identity and moved him into the space program. You can look at Jack Parsons, the invention of the rocket engine, and how he was like, he's that, it's Todd. I've got to say hello to Todd. Hope you guys are well. Hope to see you soon.
Yes.
But yeah, it's, you look into the Jack Parsons stuff and his connection to Aleister Crowley, and alchemy and stuff like that. Yeah. NASA has fucked with this stuff for the longest time, man. We just assume on face value that a genius has come up with this.
No. These were opening portals to God knows where. It's like the Aleister Crowley stuff. He was all over the place. He was trying to do the 13 portals.
Yeah.
And the story goes, he did about 7 or 8 and got bored and thought, can't be arsed anymore. I'd rather go partying in New York and everywhere else. It's more fun. And just
how crazy does that sound?
But left this portal open. I don't know if it was the one in Scotland where
there's one by Loch Ness, wasn't there?
Yeah, this is where we dive down the Loch Ness rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that one, but it's like basically you just thought, fuck it, can't be arsed anymore.
I've got bored of this shit. On to the next thing.
I'd rather go and
how ridiculous does that sound for someone who is like,
it's true. Well, I don't know if it is true. It's true to what apparently he said.
There's a great podcast I'll have to send it you by a friend, Jesse Michaels, American Alchemy, and he did a deep dive into NASA and how they've messed with occultism over the years to develop a lot of their tech. And if you know anything about Jesse Michaels, he's a guy that obviously was good enough to go on the Joe Rogan show. He's well researched, is what the point I'm making. And like some of the documents that he was able to pull on this podcast absolutely blew me away. So I knew about the Jack Parsons stuff. I knew about Werner von Braun and, the age of atomic bomb and, all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't aware of that it was so vast. And for anyone who doubts anything I'm saying, please, go onto his YouTube channel, Jesse Michaels, type in American Alchemy, and you'll find the podcast. It was released, I think about 2 months ago. There's a validity to all that we discussed tonight. It's not, and how crazy is it that, like, and I'll flip this on its head. That when I was growing up, my stepdad was a massive fan of science fiction, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Star Wars. Yeah. And what then was science fiction is now science fact. Yeah. And it's just presented and marketed in a way that it's so digestible, and we swallow that up and go, oh, well, I've got to go and have the latest iPhone because my buddy's got one. It's bizarre how our thinking, our lateral thinking works with this technology.
See, I used to be like that with tech, but now just because of doing this, I'm like, I need the next one because I need to be able to do this, this, and this. Not because somebody else has got it, because what I'm using within the next 6 months is going to be redundant. I need a faster processor. I need more accessibility at a faster rate. That's it.
I'll throw this question at you, buddy. As we're good friends, how often do you sit back and question the technology that you're using to be able to do this and produce it?
Every fucking day. Honestly, I never used to.
Mind blowing, buddy.
And this is why my head hurts. Because
mine too. That's why I've got no hair.
So I'm sat here, you're what, about 200 miles away? Ish. And we're chatting, there's people in the chat from around the world. And I don't know how quick the comments are coming through. I've got the 2 windows open. I've got my phone in front of me as a backup. I've got my iPad at the side just in case the computer shuts down. Fingers crossed, touch wood and all that. It doesn't. But we're doing it and it's working. And as we're doing this, I'm thinking, how is this happening?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The computer's at my feet. I've got a booster behind me that's plugged in, that's then linking to the main hub downstairs, that's then linked fiber optics outside. But all this, the webcam, the speakers, the headphones,
it's mind blowing. Again, so much of this shit, dude. Like we just accept on face value, and it's like, Simon's just said about your conversation about how a silicon chip.
Oh, I remember where I was when we had that conversation and everything. It's like silicon chip come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like a rubber chip that stores so much information.
It's nuts, man. Like, I remember watching, I think it was one of the Awakenings. They had a guy called Michael Tellinger over, and he's into like a lot of these megalithic and ancient sites. And he flew a drone over, I forget what the site was. They flew this drone over this ancient ruin, shall we call it that. And I think it was even like Mayan. And when you put a microchip side by side with what he had imagery of this drone footage, it was, mate, like everything had its place, and you could put them side by side and go, shit. So,
have you seen? Sorry, go on, carry on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to, add to that. But, when you look at how, we use things like frequencies, and you only need to look at guys like Nikola Tesla for that and his theories and how the universe works. We know that love is the highest frequency we can exist at. And that's measured by cortisol and all these chemicals that the brain releases. Yes. So on a consciousness level, there's something to that. And even, the flip side of that is we know hate and negativity, and all that toxic bullshit, which there's a lot of that in the world right now.
Oh, yeah.
Has such an adverse effect on your body. And how often do we walk into a room and say someone's gossiping? What's the first thing we say? I'm going to test you on this. I'm getting bad vibes.
Oh, yeah. You can pick up on the energy. Yeah, it's like, I don't want to be here.
So this consciousness thing that, our thoughts and our feelings and even the language and the words that we use, it's carried somewhere. And how that interfaces with this, what we call the phenomenon, there's a massive link between the two. And I think that's been demonstrated time and time again.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I'll say this and we can maybe wrap this up, dude. Like,
we've got a couple of questions. So we've got another 10 minutes-ish. Yeah. If that's all right with you?
10 minutes is cool, man. We can go as long. But, what was it we were just discussing then? My mind's gone blank.
Silicon chips and walking into a room and frequencies, energy and picking up bad vibes. And
the whole consciousness thing and how it relays is like, I was speaking to a good friend about this, and she was speaking Jacques Vallée. And I'm not sure how many of you viewers know who he is. And he said, you know, we're all sat here waiting for a president to come forward, you know, sitting or not, and say, you know, this is going on right now. This is real. There is a non-human intelligence that is interfacing with planet Earth and humanity. And Jacques Vallée turned around, he's like, you know, okay, we're relying on, you know, the testimony of these Navy pilots and these officials. He said, we are disclosure.
Yeah, I've said that from day one.
Yeah. You've had interactions, I've had interactions, and if I hadn't seen these things with my own eyes, what gives me the divine right to see something over someone that has maybe spent thousands of hours watching the skies every night and seen niche? Diddly squat.
I think they've got to be picking up on your frequency, and you have to be in tune with each other for it to work. It's like when we met and you didn't have a fucking clue who I was and stuff like that. But then when you realised and we sat at the bar and having a few, and then it was, and then we started chatting and we clicked. Same as with Barry, with Steve, Nathaniel, Paul, Chris, Simon, everyone that was there.
Yeah,
we all had that connection. And it's not just because of what we talk about and what we research and discuss. It's who we are as people. It's having that connection. And do you know what I mean? It's just Matty
but the crazy thing is, and I'm sorry to jump in on what you were saying.
No, you're all right.
Have you noticed how these people, these synchronicities or coincidences, you want to call them that your learning progresses through meeting these different people?
Yeah, 100%.
Mate, I've learned so much from doing that, and some of the connections I've made, you know, even to the likes of some of the people I'm friends with, and you know who I'm alluding to in terms of you know, like some of the people I've met through being friends with this person who's super famous, and because he's got an interest and he has access to those people, and then has vouched for me, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I've just had that conversation and got off the phone with name XYZ. Yeah. I'm like, you know, we're talking about this whole consciousness thing and how it relates to everything that's going on at the moment. Like, I literally do believe a lot of this hate and division that's currently going on in the world is for a reason, because it lowers our frequency. Now, how that relates to this?
There's so many people that are in tune to what you've just said and what is actually going on. They're like, it's just BS.
It is. Dude.
Like, loads of people are saying in the chat, it's the ones that are awake, the ones that know. I'm not saying. I'm not saying wake. I'm saying awake. Big difference.
No, there's a huge difference in that, man.
So it's the people that are awake, that are in tune, that are at the right frequency, are trying to get to the right frequency and realize that is where you have to be to filter it all out.
I think so,
it's took me years. It took me 2.5, 3 years to get to this point.
But
I ain't going back now.
It's taken me 15 years to get to where I am now. When the amount of knowledge and let me tell you viewers one thing. You know, some of these documentaries and TV series, they're great, but you're not going to learn anything. Get amongst the books, read the literature, and listen to these podcasts, because some of the guys that I listen to.
Go to the conferences, meet the people in person, and get that connection with them. Because if you don't,
it's a huge part of this, buddy. Like, especially go back to how we sort of first got in touch and networked. I like to call you a friend. We've hung out a bunch of times in a social sense, and you're a great guy to be around. And I don't vibe with everyone, man.
We do the voice notes. I'm not king of the voice notes.
Usually
when you drive for a living.
And you get a 12-minute one off me. I get little bite-sized ones from you, which I like. And then
So
you
when
get
you
like
when you send a big one, I'll listen to a bit, pause it, I'll reply to that, and I'll do that throughout
so you
your
can remember what
15-hour
I
voice
said.
note. Yeah.
I love it. Weirdly, I've just had
it
a friend
works.
who I've got a friend who'll be listening tonight, and she like it's a running joke. We try and beat each other in terms of like it's some of the voice notes I send are like mini podcasts in themselves. And it's great that, but again, what a time to be alive that literally we've got those methods of communication. And
Yeah.
you think the delivery, the voice, the language we're using, what we're talking on right now and how that's being beamed around the world.
I know.
It's not stuff, isn't it?
Can I'm going to say one thing. I'm not going to give anything away. I just want to make you laugh. Right? This is a personal joke. I'm a bit gutted we didn't talk about dreams. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it there.
I know what you're getting at, you crafty son of a gun. You know, I nearly called you a son of a bitch for saying that.
You know, it's fine. I expect a lot worse.
A private conversation that was had over voice.
But it was
really weird, crazy dream.
It's had nothing whatsoever.
Someone, and that's all I'll say. And it wasn't male.
But when I was listening to that, I had to pull up at one point. I was pissing myself. I couldn't see. I had tears streaming. And it was like that was probably the highlight of the day.
I'm glad I got you through that.
And then I shared some probably too much information with yourself, but we're mates, so that's what you do. That's what
friends do, isn't it? You know, we shoot the shit and
but I love we don't always have to talk about the UFOs, the ghosts, the paranormal frequency. We just talk. It's like I spoke to you the other night. You was just coming back from the football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was sending you the stuff over, but we was having a chat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's it, because you were a friend, and you know, like Todd and Carmilla in the chat, we got to hang out with them, treated them to, what was it?
Fishing chips.
What was
mushy
it?
Peas.
Mushy peas that they had.
Yeah.
And he said it was the best fish and chips ever. UFO
Todd don't even like. Yeah.
You know, probably many more friends of ours, mate, that are mutual, you know, within your chat, you know.
And Todd doesn't even like fish. That was the best bit.
I know. But you said you had a few questions. Should we?
Yes. Let's beat them out. So, from Nando Desario, question for Andy and Jay. How do research separate credible UFO reports from misidentifications or hoaxes?
Myself, with misidentifications, you've got to rule out what it isn't before you go down the anomalous path. Now, you can get, again, talking about tech, you can get things like ISS trackers, you can get satellite trackers.
Flight radar 24 and so on.
You can get star maps that will give you the constellation using your GPS on your phone.
Yep.
So it's quite easy to kind of rule out what it isn't in some instances. But then, there are times I've been caught out by, bullshit stuff that gets sent me, and it's Jupiter. And I get my knickers in a twist, and I'm like, we got one. The amount of times, dude, I've seen that planet in the sky, and I'm like, it's glowing, but it's glowing green and red. And you go, yeah, it's Jupiter. Fuck.
Yeah. I know.
So, how do you discern between that,
Andy? Patterns.
Algorithm.
The patterns of what's seen where. I use Enigma. Got the Enigma app.
Yeah.
And great app on there. You can add stuff. You can comment on stuff. It's very interactive, even if you're not posting any supposed encounters that you've had yourself. But I do it through the patterns, through what I've experienced from being the age of 4 right up until pretty much present day.
Yeah.
What these could be, is what possibilities they could be as well. And it's just the overall What did it make? Was there any sound? Was there any smell? What else is? What environment was you in? What was you doing at the time? Who else was? And just just through doing this and having my own encounters, and I question myself with everything I've had. I go back and like, right, what was the weather like? What was I doing? Who was there? What time of day was there?
State of mind, yeah.
Everything from top to bottom. And
you also, I think credibility of sources as well.
Yeah.
You know, I got sent a video recently. So this friend of mine who happens to be quite famous has his own bodyguard. This guy lives in Miami, and his bodyguard, who's not into this subject, but did go with this person, stayed on Skinwalker Ranch and had an encounter. And I was with this bodyguard 3 weeks ago at a concert in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I brought up this footage that my friend had sent me by way of him that he'd recorded. Broad daylight, mate. Good 5 minutes, this thing is stationary, and it's huge. It's absolutely huge. So when I saw him, you know, with the gig, and I questioned him about this, you get a feel for people if they're bullshitting you or it is a simple misidentification. And this, you know, this guy's been to Skinwalker Ranch and heard the stories from George Knapp and Corbell and, you know, those sort of guys that, you know, are probably used to, I know, you know, let me just say, anything that Jeremy and George sit on, sometimes they sit on stuff for 12 months because it has to be vetted, because they get sent so much hokey shit in the sense that if they put that out and someone can call bullshit on it, then that must mean they're entirely bullshit artists. So there's a level of due diligence done as well on the areas of significance, you know, if anything else has been seen.
No, this is both saying like patterns, and it's gotta be.
Any more to fire at me before we go?
I've got. So this is from Baby with a Laser. So he said about you mentioned Margaret Fry before. She was a lady who investigated the so-called Welsh Roswell at Llandrillo.
Llandrillo, yeah.
Was she the lady who investigated?
She was. Margaret used to run, I think it was called the Conway UFO group with a guy called Scott Felton, who's a very good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And the sighting she's alluding to is the 74 Berwyn UFO case.
Yes.
Great documentary that Richard D. Hall did and Scott Felton is on there. And Margaret actually features interviewing witnesses. I think his name was Mike Saville. But she, sadly, I believe she got dementia towards the end. And, you know, like she got, obviously, as you know, with dementia, very forgetful and, you know, seemed to lose her faculties towards the end. But she was the woman that was the case leader on that. And what a great story that was.
Yeah.
You know? Is it anything else?
Go and watch it. Yeah, one more from Darren. So Darren's a fellow Manc, Withenshaw, not a million miles from where you're from.
Long sight.
Where in Wales did you see the orbs? He had a cracking experience with one in Snowdonia.
So I lived in a place called Buckley, which is just, as I say, just over the Welsh-English border.
That's near Mold, isn't it? Over that way. Yeah, I know.
We got Mold Vamai quite close by. So, like the daytime sighting that I had there, you know, the acorn shape thing that I've shown you.
Yeah. Oh,
spinning.
Yes.
That would have been over Denby way. So as the crow flies, now Denby, obviously you've got Denby Asylum.
Yeah.
I found out when researching, you've got Dogman sightings that go back to the 1900s. And there's a guy called Graham Evans who documented, obviously, the Denby Asylum, which is now derelict. And when I was trailing through this guy's videos, this is the guy that saw the saucer over Denby Castle that he photographed. Now he's got video, and he's not a UFO guy. I asked him for an interview probably about a decade ago, and I never got a reply. He's not a guy that's into the UFO thing. But some of the stuff he's seen over that Clwydian range, the mountain range there, like he's got footage, and it's a photograph, and you can see this thing spinning, and it's probably about 10 foot from above the field. And you can see, like when you get the motion blur, this thing like literally spinning as it's going along. And like,
can I show you? Sorry, go on.
No, I'm just going to sort of say that, Gary Jones, who did the case with Kaz Clark in Penturk.
Oh, they've got new evidence.
Yes,
he was on the other night. Yeah. I need to catch up on that.
It's just been the 10th anniversary, hasn't it? Of that?
Yeah. More people from the villages are coming forward to say yes, they did actually see what happened.
Yeah, I can't say too much on that because there's something ongoing with Kaz at the moment. But
right,
like she was telling me she got banned from Facebook, but she's now on TikTok. So her presentations are up on there. Lovely human being.
Yeah, I've interviewed her about 3-4 times. And Gary.
But Gary covered back to the Denby thing. Gary was the one who broke the story on the two boys that filmed the triangle. There was a triangle.
The golf course and all that. Yeah.
And they went back there the next day in daylight, and there was no reason.
Yeah, because he tried getting a Land Rover or something to try and get it through that little whatever it was, and you're not getting anything through that.
And you heard the mother of these two lads that, you can maybe put it down to a bit of tomfoolery, but when the mother came forward and said, both my boys are not like that, they're incredibly logic-based, and will look to debunk it themselves before they go down that route. Again, two witnesses that are not into the UFO thing. Is Denby in North Wales another one of these areas where every type of this phenomenon seems to, concentrate? Because you've got evidence of, like I said, dogman encounters going back to the 1900s there.
Yeah.
The energy that would have been in Denby Asylum, given that, believe it or not, they held some of the first witch trials in this country at Chester Crown Court.
Didn't know that.
And with Denby being the nearest comprehensive, I don't want to use the word mental asylum because it's quite derogatory, but that kind of hospital that, encapsulated these people, the witches were then sent there. So you think of the energy that probably exists in that area.
Yeah.
And again, North Wales is rich. Wales as a whole, look at the Broadhaven sightings, look at, the Berwyn UFO encounter. There's a rich history in a lot of these places. Go and do your research, guys, because there's a lot of great cases out there. And if you want a great website to have a look at the Swansea UFO Network. Because the guy there, Mike Maunder, collates a lot of these sightings, and they've actually got a database on the website where this stuff is collated and obviously put out to the general public.
Yeah. Wow, we've hit the time. Sorry, Jay.
I know we've gone half an hour over what we said.
I'm going to get my ass kicked.
Blame me.
But it's all right. I already have. But, but so I showed you these images when we was in Bosworth. And it's a year ago today where I seen this.
That's crazy, isn't it? The shape of that alone.
Well, that was the one that looked like an air balloon, and you watch the mini video, you can see it rotating.
Yeah.
And
it actually reminds me of that image that George Knapp put out a couple of years ago. Do you remember the thing that he said it was the Batman balloon? and
Yes.
it was filmed
Yeah,
by a fighter jet, I think an F-18, and it was shaped very eerily similar to what you've just shown on screen.
yeah. Well, I was
And
at a party. I was at a party over Christmas. Confirmation. Somebody else seen that. 12 hours later, I was driving towards Essex. They were driving back from Essex. I seen that early morning around 8:15, 9 o'clock, and they seen
Yeah.
it about 7, 8 o'clock.
that's crazy, man.
On
Like,
the
yeah,
same stretch, the M11 A14.
it's weird, isn't it? How like the shapes of these things seem to have changed over the years, and
Yeah,
you know, like Paul, you know, it's up on the Awakening UFO page on YouTube. Steve Mera uploaded Paul and his name's Ian Linford gave a presentation last
yes,
year
yeah,
at Awakening, and they've got the best, probably one of the best pieces of UFO footage that I've seen from that area, possibly ever.
yeah,
And I think they were looking through infrared. We'll tell the story quick and then we'll shoot. What looked like, you know, an anomalous light hovering above a field, when they looked through the infrared, became this craft that you saw shape shifting and turning, and all the lights it's giving off. And this thing was absolutely nuts, mate.
yeah.
It's so,
Well,
you know, like,
that
again,
no lights on that, no sound, nothing.
so what, you know, to the naked eye or untrained eye looks like very innocuous, as in this ball of light. You know, as soon as you put another spectrum on it, becomes
Yeah,
this.
you won't see it
3D
twice.
No,
Yeah,
you
you
wouldn't.
see it if it air balloon, kite, but whatever. But it's not until you notice there's something not quite right, and then you pick up on it, and that's when you home in on it, and that's when you realise this
It's
shit's
not.
real.
Yeah, we'll have to go and do a sky watch at some point.
Oh,
But,
definitely.
You know, you're up in the
Definitely.
northwest, and you know, I think you mentioned about me coming up to Northampton to do something in the future.
Yeah,
So,
I'm doing the UFO meetups once a month. It's supposed to be tonight, but I've just got loads of stuff to do this week, so it's postponed till next Tuesday.
yeah.
So we meet up in the pub. There's 5 of us on the first one. There's going to be about 15 next week. I've not
Which
even
pub is it?
advertised it. It's one
Which-
in Northampton, the Keys down at Building Aquadrome.
I know it. So
You know where Building is?
my uncle used to own Building Aquadrome.
Really?
Yeah. How nuts
Wow.
is that? So, well, like every summer, I would spend my summer holidays in New Dustin
Yeah.
in
That's down the road from
Northampton,
me.
and then I ended up moving there when I became a pro wrestler, because I did a lot of wrestling stuff down there, and I lived just off Wellingborough Road.
Yeah, that's not too
great.
far from me.
That used to be the greatest pub crawl into town, mate.
It still
ever.
is.
The amount of pubs.
No. You just do the pub crawl. You get to the end, you go home. You're not even going to town anymore.
You won't make it into town. But yeah, my local used to be a pub called, I think it was Sir Pickering Phipps.
Yep. That's called Phipps now. Yep.
Yeah. Great establishment.
Yes. Oh, a few beers in there.
I crawled out of there many a night, mate.
We'll have to do it. You'll have to come down, stay over, and we'll just do the Wally Road and see where we end up.
You're talking to someone who doesn't drink alcohol anymore, mate. So
the odd one here and there.
Unless I'm around Danny Moss. But that's that's a private joke, but yeah. Just quickly, because I'll get in trouble if I don't plug this. Obviously, I'm co-hosting Festival The Unexplained this year, which I believe you're going to be coming to be held in Worcester.
That's a different Karen, that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not Karen Frey, but this Karen, who's a friend of mine, she will be there.
I thought I recognised her.
Keep an eye out, because we've only just announced the second speaker. Several more, so I can't give away any secrets.
No, but I need to message Karen Frey anyway about what we was chatting about before. So,
get yourselves to that. If you can give us a like over on Facebook or on our social media, that'd be great. And if you can get yourself, you know, I encourage anyone viewing who's never been to any sort of Paracon or festival or anything of that ilk to go, because the best part is
the
the
networking.
Yeah,
the
social
networking.
part.
It is. I don't care what anyone says. That is what it's all about.
You know, the talks are great, but the sense of community that comes out of these things and the conversations we've shared, you know, it's so understated, isn't it? And because it's not. Someone said she was laughing at. She knows what Danny Moss and me are like when we get together. So he's like the little devil that sits on my shoulder, going, "Jay, have another shot. Have a Jägermeister or Kraken." Rum is my favorite at the moment. So when there's
quickly, because we have gone.
We've gone way over, haven't we?
Where can we find you? So you've got your Facebook group, which is called
the Anomalies Archives.
Yeah.
Jump over onto there. And again, Jay Austin, my personal Facebook, obviously a lot that's going on at the moment. I'm trying to keep my finger on the pulse with. So like, just my social media, mate. Jay, it's my previous surname, Jay Matthews. So you may find some of that, Jay Matthews MMA. And also, Anomalies Archives. I'm now in my 15th year of been running that page. So, we're doing well, mate. We're doing well. And,
excellent.
You know, I'm trying to sort of get 2 to 3, you know, well-researched articles out a week these days. So, you know, it's about putting out good, credible information that people can, you know, understand 100%. And decipher. So stay in touch and
100%, mate.
We'll definitely meet up soon, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for coming on.
No, you're welcome, mate. It is, you know, as we chat in private, it's always a pleasure, mate. You know, when you're a friend amongst anything else, and you know, like, share, comment. Andy's a good guy. Has a great podcast, and he knows my feelings on that because we've spoke privately. But, you know, and you know, to your audience as well, thank you for giving me your time and letting me come into your homes or onto your devices. And good night, Simon. Speak to you very soon. And just thank you for your time, mate. And we keep doing what we do.
Welcome. More than welcome. Right, so we are at the end. I will be back tomorrow because I've got nothing else today. I'm on tomorrow, myself and Nicole. We're doing Encyclopedia of the Unknown at a later time of 8:30 UK time, 3:30 Eastern time, 2:30 Central. That's PM. Where we're doing letter H. I'm talking about the Hat Man, and Nicole is going to be talking about haunted objects. So there you go. And then we're back on Friday with the Paranormal Pizza. So look out for that. And then Sunday, doing the cryptid chat, myself and David from Down the Rabbit Hole. That's 6 PM. Not sure what cryptid we're doing yet. I haven't looked. But it's just hot non-stop. Then next Monday, we've got Preston Dennett and Dolly Saffron on for the UFO files.
So, just quick, you know the name I couldn't remember, the Catalina Island, USO. Yeah. That's the guy, Preston Dennett. Ask him about
it. Oh, right. He's a good friend. So, I'll message him after this.
Awesome guy. Ask him about it. He wrote a book about it. Great book.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Right. On that note, going to go because I'm sweating, to tell you the truth, and I need something to eat. So thank you everyone in the chat. Thank you new subscribers. Thank you new people in the chat. Hope we all made you feel welcome. Thank you, Jay, for being an amazing guest, great friend. And check out all the others. I've started doing one called the 60 Seconds into the Unknown, where it's just a 60-second clip of a specific thing. I just create the video, put it out there, and this week, today's one's the Owl Man. And I just got a list in Chat GPTs just as like secretary, PA, whatever you want to call it. So it's not all done there. So take care. See you tomorrow. Have a wonderful weekend. Wonderful weekend. I don't know what day it is. Happy New Year. Happy Easter.
Yeah. Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah, happy everything, because I don't know who I am anymore. Right, we'll see you tomorrow at 8:30. Cheers, Jay.
Nice,
Cheers,
nice.
moderators.
Thank you.
Take care. See you tomorrow. Ta-ra.
Yeah, if I had a spaceship, I'd visit my alien friends. If I had a spaceship, I'd visit my alien friends. If I had a spaceship, I'd visit my alien friends. If I had a spaceship, I'd visit my alien friends. And I could show them Earth, and they take me to the planet. Yeah, and I could show them Earth, and they take me to the planet.